creating these dualities of your business, these little pockets, how can you streamline communication to offset it to either, an online resource that you've created or someone else, if you have an assistant or another venue who's managing these bookings for you. Create little pockets of communication so you do less work and you can charge your couples less work, and also you can just enjoy your day more because it's way more enjoyable to not to fucking sit through emails.
One of the things that I think about is those pop-up wedding chapel things that have become really popular over the last number of years, like since 2020. So perhaps you're not somebody's chapel go-to photographer, but you can actually set up your own pop-up chapel. And I have talked about this with a friend of mine, Leslie, who works at like she's a
wedding
creative
venue.
director of a larger group that also has a wedding venue in it. And we were like, how can we get some more people on site? And basically we were like, so here's what I would do. If I wanted to run 8 weddings in a day, I would set up a studio that has like a gorgeous aesthetic, and it would be a themed. So let's call it's going to be a rainbow theme. We're going full big gay wedding.
Love it.
Okay. And it's going to have rainbows and it's going to have balloons and whatever. And then you're going to have like 20 chairs set up and you're going to have an online booking platform that runs like a mini session booking.
Yeah.
And people read the same they get the same info chart about what's involved.
Yep.
There are time slots that people can go and book, and it's all automated. And that is how you allow your clients to book a less expensive experience, but still the same experience, quality of experience with you.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to make some money Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday, or you know what, you're wanting to get into more weddings and you're not really there yet, it's a really, really good way to get a lot of images really, really quickly.
That's it. It's reps. I think about that all the time. Like it's not, it sounds such a shitty analogy because I'm not such a gym rat, but like, it feels like the DTK Chapel weddings I shoot are like going to the gym.
Yeah, you're doing reps.
Because I get to do reps. And also I use that time to experiment with stuff that I wouldn't normally take with me on a wedding day.
Sure.
On a larger scale, because I have the luxury of like, hey guys, do you want to shoot for an extra 10 minutes on my time? They're like, yeah, we don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. The stakes are low. They have dinner in 3 hours from now. So there's no timeline we have to stick to typically. Unless I'm shooting back-to-back weddings at the chapel, then it's kind of a bit of a factory. But I'll take couples with like, let's do some off-camera flash stuff. Let's do some double exposure stuff I've never tried. Let's explore this space in a way. Let's use the light in a way I've never thought of before because we have luxury of time and I have, a paying client, which is great. But also like I have them for that time.
Lower stakes, it feels like, right?
Stakes,
instead of like, there's 150 people waiting at cocktail hour. Don't be the jerk that holds them up, right?
And
but in this case, you can try.
For the most part, I'm just a city hall photographer. Like, great, whatever this guy wants to do, I'm sure we'll get some nice photos. And we make sure we get those really nice head-to-toe photos, the key photos you need to get from the ceremony and just portraits of people and their family. But like
the stuff for their immigration paperwork.
Exactly, yeah. The stuff that proves they're married. But after that point, you can use this as a testing ground for things that you want to experiment in your photography, creative business, to take things to the next level for yourself and then bring those creative learnings to the couples who have bigger wedding days and make your brand bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller and bigger, bigger and stronger and better. So
what's happening over here, everybody?
Losing my mind.
He's just yelling. He's like old man yells at son.
It's Cloud. It yells at Cloud.
Sorry if you're listening to this and not watching it. That must have been so painful. The start to finish of that. It's crazy. People listen to us.
That's that on that. Let's talk about splitting we covered a lot of this stuff here. I'm just writing down a lot of stuff, but let's talk about splitting your marketing, but keeping your voice consistent, because this is something we've talked about before. I had a client, when I was in WPPI, I shot a DK Chapel wedding, and then we went to WPPI in Las Vegas, and I got an email from her saying she's not happy with her photos because she doesn't like the way she looks. And that's most
You
people.
were gutted.
I was like, man, that sucks. Because we had like a really nice connection.
And you tried really hard.
I tried really hard.
I mean, you always try really hard, but I remember Tim and I talked about this bride right after, and you said, I feel like I had a win here today.
Yeah.
You came back so happy.
Because we connected and I made her feel good, and I think...
She had said to you, can I share what she...
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so this bride had lost a lot of weight. And but she still was
like
in her head.
160 pounds.
Yeah.
Like she lost a lot of weight.
But she was in her head about her weight still and said she was still feeling really insecure, which I think is a really common thing for people. It's body dysmorphia. It's a bitter bitch. But she was telling you that she was telling you that she felt really sad about how she looked, and which meant she did not want to be in photos, which probably is part of the reason why she decided to do an elopement like style thing
still
instead
hired
of
me. Whatever. It's fine.
I mean, just not like she didn't do a big wedding because she didn't want that many eyes on her, right?
Bingo.
She's feeling closed off. So you were truly like the perfect person because you're such a good hype man, and you sat down with her and you actually had like a sit down conversation where you said, I'm going to do everything in my power to make you look bomb. You already look bomb.
Yeah.
And like, I will pose you in such a way that you're not going to have to feel worried about it.
Yeah.
And then you did some additional retouching on this, even though that is not a thing that you typically do on DTK Chapel days.
Correct.
But you really wanted her to look at these photos and be like,
I look great.
I look so freaking good.
Yeah.
And then you did that. And I remember you showed me the photos and I was like, these are gorgeous. She looks so good. But body dysmorphia is rude. And she saw those photos and she was like,
Not good enough.
I do not look good in these. And my question is like, well, you look like the best version of yourself, honestly. What do you want to look like? But people's brains are involved, unfortunately.
Funny
in the chaos.
things, people. So,
we haven't had lobotomies come into play yet, unfortunately.
So I went back, long story short, I went back and I edited everything to be hyper realistic, I'd say. Maybe a little bit. Maybe on the I mean, I got rid of a lot of things that like
some generative fill was used.
Generative fill.
Yeah.
We'll call it that.
Yeah. Some nip tucks were done.
It was a bit of a plastic surgeon on the old Lightroom, but she's downloaded her gallery, I would say, the most of anyone from the DTK Chapel, and just like individual photos. Like every week I'll get a notification that like she's still downloading photos of herself.
Yeah.
So it made me feel good, but it brought up the larger conversation between myself and you and Magic Wedding Photographer. Should I be splitting this brand of DTK Chapel Photography and Timothy Musa Photography? And I'm still undecided on that. I'd love to know what your thoughts
Yeah,
and feelings are
so
on
here's
that.
my thinking.
Okay, please.
Everybody please weigh in on this.
We'd love to know in the comments. Let me know.
I don't feel like clients should even hear the name Timothy Musa.
Okay.
Aside from knowing that you are one of the potential photographers that may be working there.
Yeah.
I would say it should be DTK Weddings by Tim.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
it sounds like a brand, a standalone brand on its own.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows you will know what a hell of a deal they're getting by getting Tim Musa at these DTK Chapel weddings. But the problem is that if there is the pre-communication all goes through the chapel, right?
Yes.
And that's great. And I love that. But what happens in these cases? Jeff Mack is not going to be doing the nip tucking that is needed here, right?
Yeah.
So then you're getting bothered while you're on vacation by like essentially a job that is done and dusted and you as the DTK Tim have nothing to do with, right? And so I think it's hard for you, and I understand this, to have that duality of, and I know we were literally just saying you are the brand.
You're the brand. Well, we're going to go against all of that right now.
However, if you're trying to do this model specifically,
Caveat,
Timbo, this is a very different thing. You're running and gunning. And because they are essentially hiring you as an associate company, DTK Weddings by Tim, whatever you end up calling it, you know, or DTK Photos, like it should just, I don't know what it should be, but
Chapel Weddings?
like something needs to be separate, I think, so that they understand, no, you can't have like that level. Look at this website. That person got paid $6,000 to create imagery that looks like that.
Yeah.
And the service, like we were just talking about, that goes into it, the service needs to come from DTK.
For sure.
Right, from the actual chapel. So you guys can workshop. These are the kinds of conversations Tim and I have literally every day. Now you're part of our workshopping, but tell me your thoughts. Or, I mean, the other thing is, alternatively, you just charge more and you are Timothy Musa at the DTK Chapel, but then the costs are going to go up.
Exactly.
I sent Tim a message in our group chat after the elopement the other day because Tim had quoted a bride for 2 additional hours of coverage on her elopement. And it was like, you sneeze and you miss it. It was like literally like $4. And I was in the car, I was driving us all up to Lion's Head when he and Jeff were talking about it. And Jeff was like, that's not enough money. And Tim was like, it's already what I quoted her, unfortunately. Because you're thinking DTK Chapel prices, which you know, if somebody's getting married at, for those of you, you know, who are maybe not familiar with DTK Chapel, like it's a city hall chapel,
it's
right?
It's beautiful, but it's very simple.
But that's what people are hoping to pay.
Legal ceremonies.
They're not generally wanting to spend $700 an hour or whatever the additional would be.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably somewhere in the middle.
Well, that's it. I've thought about it since then, and it's only been 2 days. But it's initially when I came up with this pricing, it was like very easy in the door, and then we can upsell them and upgrade them after that.
But
point.
the upsells need
and
to
we
be
lost track of that because
that.
we were just going one-offs constantly, and we're revamping the pricing so it matches better. So people come in the door like, okay, great, that's a great price. How much is an extra hour? By 50?
How much is it if
Amazing.
I wanted getting ready
cool.
photos at my hotel up the street? You're like, well, now
we're talking.
That's a wedding day now, right? And
which is similar to weekends. We offer weekends as well, but it's a much higher price to reflect the fact that limited availability of myself or associate photographers.
You're removing people from
bingo.
Yeah, you're removing
and for the most
yourself
part,
from
we're
the
pricing
equation
people.
You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast with Lindsay and Tim.